Hey guys, welcome back to Sure Babe. We have a long-awaited episode with Sam and I ready for you guys. I put out in that little question box on Instagram, ask us anything, we'll answer it. And so we got some good questions from you guys on Instagram, and we're super excited to be open books with you. So without further ado, I'm just going to get into the episode with Sam and I answering your questions. Let's do our Q&A. You ready for this?
Sure.
Okay, so I put out some questions on Instagram. I put
questions.
out questions on Instagram without Sam knowing, but I know him and I knew he'd be okay with answering some of these. So
we'll see.
Which is one of the questions. How does Sam feel about you putting your life out there?
Are we going? Is that where we're starting?
Let's see what one. Okay. How does Sam feel? Oh, where to go? Mama Gone Healthy. Mama Gone Healthy would like to know, how does Sam feel about you sharing some of your marriage struggles on social media? That's a good one.
That's a great question. Well, I think this far in to being married, I've learned that married couples sometimes act like they're an island, like their problems are the only problems that anyone has ever experienced. And I think sharing some of our marital issues is a really good way to help other couples feel like they're not alone, because it's really easy, especially early on, especially in the first part of your marriage and then first kid.
Oh yeah. Basically the beginning of any first stage.
Yeah, any of the family stages. And I think I've learned the value of sharing with others so that even if it's not directly helping you, at least people don't feel alone. Because I think in our culture too, we feel like we have to have it all together. It's got to look, everything's got to look a certain way. And we've lost that community, really. Yeah. And I think it's really important because there is no perfect marriage. And I don't think that there's a perfect marriage.
Or a perfect person.
Or a perfect person to be married to. Mm-hmm. Except she's pretty close.
Mm-hmm. You're just saying that because you want to get lucky.
Oh, I'm
just kidding. I would say too that it all depends on how you share as well.
Respectful sharing.
Always ask him, is this okay for me to post or to talk about? And then he'll say, yeah. But I never blame him. I used to in the past, and I knew that was out of a place of being wounded. So I like to share from the scar, not the wound. And so when I share about our marriage struggles, it's about the marriage and not my spouse per se, if that makes sense. It's not his fault. It's the marriage that we're talking about, so the relationship. So, yeah. And like Sam said, he's super open to helping other couples realize that they're not alone in that struggle and that marriage does take work. And that's the misconception we feel like our generation or the world in general has, is that you find this perfect person for you and then marriage is supposed to be easy, and that's not all the truth.
And I think there's a lot of cultural shame of sharing that you're struggling.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing, is that shame keeps you from growing as a married couple, as a spouse, as a person. And I think especially in any of the podcasts and stuff we've tried to do, is mainly just to say, it's okay to not be stoked, with your spouse sometimes. It's okay to not be happy but there's no shame in sharing, no, we're really struggling, and I think, honestly, one of the best things is that Waylon was so hard as a child, as a baby, too. It kind of we needed whatever help we could possibly get. So we just share about
night
that.
Off at therapy was...
Yeah, it was a big deal. It was awesome. It was.
Okay. And then also, in turn, I would say it's helped our marriage to be able to kind of have that, we've
a sounding board.
Right, but we've literally, had podcast episodes where we're we can't record anything because we're in it and we're not And he's like, what the heck are we doing sharing about this? So literally we're like, okay, let's get through this phase. And then let's, obviously we share once we're out of it. But it helps us to keep on that path of like doing the work is what we call it. Yep. Okay, good question. Let's move on.
Great question.
Did you go through premarital counseling? People ask that.
Yes, we did.
We did, and that's why we have a whole series. I think we only did 2.
I think we did 2.
On how our premarital class failed us. So definitely check those out.
I think, too, what people... there's a huge misconception that premarital counseling is going to streamline your first year of marriage. It doesn't. It gives you some tools.
And some topics to talk about.
Some topics to talk about. But if you really want to do like true premarital counseling, it'd be like, go to a couples counselor.
Yeah.
Each of you go to your individual counselors. Mm-hmm. Kind of talk with a mentor couple and, some like stuff like that. And we had even some of that and it still didn't, it didn't prepare us to the level when you have 2 strong individuals. Yeah. It doesn't always prepare you to come together seamlessly.
Right. And there are couples therapists that are specialized in premarital counseling. I think it's called prepared counseling or something like that. Prepared.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
Yeah. Anyways, check that out. Okay, this is one of my favorite questions. Jim Linrell, I don't know if I'm saying that right, asked, what does it mean to you to be a Christian?
That's my question. What does it mean to be a Christian?
I know my answer. So
for me, it is to know that I am not alone, even when I feel very alone sometimes, and that there is love and acceptance for who I am at all times, and I think that's what it means for me. And that I'm not going to figure it all out. I don't have to figure it all out. And there is a grace and mercy that you can feel, when you believe.
That's a good answer. I would say pre-spiritual awakening, Chrissy would say my biblical answer would be oh, you believe Jesus died on the cross and you have made him the Lord and Savior of your life. But that didn't really mean anything to me, until later on in my life, where I realized, what does that look like in my life? So actually being a Christian, to me, means it's all about Jesus. It's just being like him. And I'm constantly asking, what would Jesus do in this situation? Maybe even if it's something heated like politics and things, it's Jesus would probably be sitting in the back just laughing, he'd be like, I love you all, you crazy people. And so for me, it's become way less legalistic and thinking, like you said, I don't know the answers to everything. I am not the be all end all that says this is black and white and this is what's going to happen to you. And this is, no, I'm in the past, I used to think I knew everything. And not everything, but oh, these people are going to heaven, these people are going to hell. And it's I have no interest anymore in saying those things and believing those things.
You just have to love.
Yeah, it's all people. About loving people. That's what Jesus was about. So for me, being a Christian is trying to be like Jesus. That's it. Okay. What advice would you have for someone who's patiently waiting to find their significant other? That blog. Good question, because we both patiently waited. I patiently waited for you.
I know you did.
I sometimes still, why did it take you so long to find me? It's because he was so consumed with work and he didn't take any time to
You're
which leads into the next question. Someone said, how old are you and how did we meet?
I think what I would suggest, waiting patiently now, what that would look like is really get to know who you are as a person, and and take that time and really look deep into really what is driving you and what is making you who are you really? And I think that's what, since we got married and we've had to do that work post marriage, I would highly recommend diving in, knowing your likes, knowing who you really are, and then don't adjust who you are for someone else so that you fit what they're looking for as a spouse or a mate or whatever, a partner.
Yeah.
Because if you change for someone else, you're going to be miserable. I mean, and then the relationship isn't authentic and it's not open and it's not two individuals coming together.
Right.
And that would be what I would suggest while you're waiting patiently. It's hard, but but this is the time where you can really do like that deep work.
I would say personally, as a female, I made Jesus my boyfriend. I know it sounds so stupid, but I imagined that I was being romanced by other things since I missed that in my life and didn't have a man at that time.
She was a strong, independent woman that didn't need no man.
I was ready to freeze my eggs. I was like, I'm going to have a baby someday. I don't need no man. I was like, I could be like Angelina Jolie. Just adopt children. No, I really do feel like I manifested Sam at the time in my life that I did, because I had finally gotten to a point where I was like, I realized I was trying to fit a mold that wasn't me, and I was working out to like burn calories to look a certain way instead of really working out to like love my body and to feel good in my body. And I was trying hard to impress guys, and I finally got to the point where I was like, I am done, and this is who I want. And I wrote it out, and I prayed, and I said, God, like, drop this person out of the sky. This person is going to see me at a party, and they're going to look across the room and say, I want to get to know that girl. And that's literally what happened, like, a few months later after I wrote that. Stop hitting my back, because the sound.
Sorry.
I know, the sound on the iPad, the podcast. All that to say, I feel like I did a lot of work. I was in therapy. I was journaling a ton, which I was going to say that was huge for me. I have like a whole lot, like volumes and volumes of journals that I wrote all of my feelings and thoughts and what I wanted in this person. And so that prepared me for the time that I met them. And another thing that I think maybe you don't hear enough is keep doing the things that you love, because it's like you're running a race, and like eventually the person that you're going to match up with is going to come run alongside you. So you're doing those things. If you're like in your art class or in your running group, or like going to fun things, like don't just sit at home and wait for this person to like swipe right on you or something like that. Isn't that what they do for Tinder? I don't know. They do that though. So it's like go out and be involved and like give yourself away to other things. Volunteer somewhere. It's like you will more likely meet someone when you're doing the things that you love. And yeah, that's my advice with that. Okay. Someone asked about anxiety, which I really want to... How does Sam... Emil Rowe wants to know, how does Sam go helping you with your anxiety? My husband needs some tips.
Oof. Well, I can tell you that I've not always done well with anxiety before. Mm-hmm. With dealing with her anxiety, especially that in her last panic attack and stuff like that, it's really, you have to stay really calm, and you have to realize that your partner literally doesn't have the capacity to handle whatever the stress that their body is manifesting. Mm-hmm. And so ideally, you have to get very, very, very calm. Mm-hmm. And go, okay, this is bigger. This has nothing to do with me as a person. they can't even control what they're experiencing. So what you have to do is you have to create a place that's safe for them to go. And that means either breathing exercises, ice baths if they just need to be held. If there's a certain food that they need, or let them curl up in a ball, like just be a safe container for them. And that's all you can really do. Mm-hmm. The worst thing you can do is freak out and get big.
Yes, which
and
you have.
I have done it in the past. But what I've learned is that you can't let their anxiety fuel your fears.
Yeah.
And so what you have to do is stay calm, help them,
mm-hmm.
and
yeah, the best thing you did for me recently was you put on some music and you danced with me like while we breathed together. Yes. And that helped me get out of my head and into my body, and then you just like told me like it's gonna be okay, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And that helped me the most, because sometimes in the past my anxiety would trigger yours, and then you would feel like I'm not doing enough, what's wrong with her, and then I would feel bad on top of that for being anxious, and then that's just a horrible hairball. Yeah. Okay. Someone said wino pets. Julio.Connell. Wino pets. That's a good one.
Because we have 3 kids.
Because we have 3 kids and we're exhausted. And I would love a cat, but Sam says no.
I'm pretty allergic to cats. One day, here's my thing. One day, when our kids are a little more capable
of helping,
I have no problem with dogs. I love dogs. Mm-hmm. Right now in this phase, we're just trying to keep everyone's diapers changed, fed to the places, and the thought of having a pet is just not that much fun. Mm-hmm. Because we're like with 2 working parents, it's like we barely have enough time for ourselves. So why would I have?
We don't have a fence.
And we don't.
Fenced in yard.
No, and not yet, but
because we're building a house.
But I think that once we have those things in place, and once our kids are responsible enough, mm-hmm. then we'll probably have a pet.
Yeah.
But we don't even sleep with our own kids. Like, our kids keep us awake, like, on and off all night. Why would I need a dog barking or a puppy?
Yeah. Favorite part of living in California?
The weather. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I would love. I say I love California because you can literally drive to the mountains and the beach, so you can experience snow, mountains, trees, desert, and the beach.
Everything. Mm-hmm. All within driving distance.
How long will your facial hair stay? Well, that was before when you had that awful mustache.
Oh, that was just for fun. Something like that, and honestly, I'll clarify this. That mustache took all of like 4 days to grow.
Because he's a hairy man beast.
I am a hairy man beast.
Okay. Mrs. Jen Rose would like to know, they are visiting San Diego, and this is a question we get a lot.
All the time.
We're visiting San Diego in May. Best things to do in San Diego or near San Diego, and they'll have a car, so they could go up to LA too.
Well, beaches.
What are your favorite beaches?
Well, I love the whole stretch of I love Oceanside. I mean, almost all the beaches are great in San Diego.
I will just name off our favorites. I love Fletcher Cove in
Solana Beach.
We love Terramar and Carlsbad because when it's low tide, that's where we go to the tide pools.
Coronado.
I was going to say that. That's stunning. Our other favorite, the Strand in Coronado. Yep. I would stay away from Pacific Beach because that's not really kid friendly.
I don't think they have kids.
No, they do.
Oh, they have kids?
I think so. They do. And then we
got Legoland.
Oh, Legoland. But what else? The botanic gardens in Encinitas are great for kids.
And Chrissy has a link of like different areas.
Yeah, on my blog post there's one, but I need to update that. Favorite restaurants, there's like a new food hall in Carlsbad. I would go to the Children's Museum downtown San Diego. I would explore Coronado and
Balboa Park
for sure.
All the museums.
Museums, the zoo. If you're gonna spend money, I would go to the zoo, not the Safari Park Zoo, because the Safari Park is like a trek. Like you're walking up and down hills. Yeah. Like if you want to go into labor there and you're pregnant, do that. I tried. It didn't really work, but anything else I missed? We love the symphony. We go to the symphony when we can, or see smaller shows. Like our favorite breakfast place, I would say, is Claire's. We don't really get to go there that often. That's in Solana Beach.
We have small kids. We're lucky just
we
to
don't
get out of the house
much.
sometimes.
But any other special places? Okay. All right. Hopefully that answers some. How do you keep the passion through the years? Going back to marriage, okay. This is a good question because people ask this a lot. And you said this before we were recording. What'd you say?
It doesn't.
You don't.
You don't.
You don't keep passion up.
And I'll clarify that so these people...
So people are like, okay, I'm not getting married then.
No. Passion is I think in long-term relationships, passion is something that has to be cultivated. And it's a practice to find new things that you love about your partner, and keeping the passion alive is going, hey, we need to have a date night. And then we'll go, hey, we're not talking about kids, we're not talking about house stuff, let's talk about how we're doing and like what else is going on. And that's how you keep passion alive. There's a really great book called Mating in Captivity by Esther Perel, and it talks about the struggles that couples face when they get married and have kids and are in those life phases. And it's a great book. It's a great resource to go, oh, okay, yeah. I have to. It's practice. You have to practice loving each other with purpose.
And then know that not every phase is going to be filled with passion, and that could be just.
And another thing that I think is really important is also cultivating your own identity as well, because that friction and that fun that you experienced when you were dating was because you guys were still different. And like what happens is a lot of times those couples that you see dressing alike, and those are the couples that lose their spark. So if you're always
or they lose their spark because they think that's a bad thing.
Yes.
That they are, once you get married and you have kids, like you're so much enmeshed in everything, and it's like you're changing poopy diapers and it's so unsexy. Like the toilet flushing in the background because one of our kids came out. It's totally fine. Life is right now with 3 small kids, 7, 4, and almost 19 months. Life is the opposite of sexy. It's messy and it's not fun, and there's so little time for us that we know that, and I think we find that bonds us right now because we're both not looking for that, and we find passion in other ways. I think maybe it will be like a cute joke or a slap on the booty in the kitchen, or like I don't know, just like something like lighthearted where we know it's like we're in this together, and we will have time, and then we constantly work on it. Like we're going to a marriage retreat at the end of March, and it's like we're taking that weekend for our marriage. So I think that's how we cultivate passion. Okay, let's talk about some home building stuff. Did you always envision building a home?
No.
No, not in the beginning.
No.
But that was when we first got married. And
I think, our situation was very unique in that we had the opportunity to take a risk and buy a property versus buying a house. And since I'm in that profession already, I have a certain amount of framework to do that. But with that being said, building your own house is a lot harder than like building someone else's house.
Yes, we're in that phase right now, and it's really challenging. And I would say no. When we got married, we thought maybe that would be something we do in our like 50s or retirement or something. But when the opportunity happened, okay,
Sorry.
when the opportunity came to buy the lot, we then, of course, that was 8 years ago, right?
9 years ago.
Yeah, 9 years ago. Then we did envision building the home, and the biggest question we get is like, what are we doing with the house we live in now? This was always part of the plan that we were going to build. You okay?
Sorry.
We were always going to build a big house for our family to live in, and the house we built first was the one we could afford at the time, which is technically a granny flat or accessory dwelling unit. And so our plan was always to rent the place we live in now, like a vacation style rental, Airbnb, short term, and then live in the main house. So that's our goal. That was what we envisioned early on, and it's finally happening now. Okay. A couple more questions is, do you two parent differently? If so, how do you work through the tough spots? Oh, I love that. Elite.design.ww. Ask that. And that was a good question.
We definitely have different parenting styles. Because I am a man and Chrissy is not. Clearly. I think, though, as we've gone through the journey of parenting, I definitely think we've worked on certain things that work better for our kids, and try to implement those styles.
Yeah.
In like the realms of discipline, how we support them. We try to practice positive parenting, which
I'm
not always the best at.
I think it's personality too. Like I'm with the kids more, so I practice, or I'm able to practice it more. And then he's a man, so I have to sometimes know that masculinity comes through in different ways, and just because it's different than me, it's not necessarily bad, but we do have different views on things. And in the past, I'm trying to get better at this. I have gotten angry at him in front of the kids for how he's parenting, and I realize that is not healthy. Like, I need to stop doing that in front of the kids and then wait and talk to you later about it. And you might hear our baby in the background that just woke up. So, okay. So all in all, we have a vision for how we like to parent, which is positive parenting, and we're constantly using that as like a rubric to go back to. Did I use that right? Rubric?
I have no idea what the word is.
Rubric?
Rubric?
I don't know. Did I use that right? A compass, a guide.
Yes, a guide.
A guide. We go back to that when we find that we're yelling at our children. And so, yes, we do not have this nailed down at all. No. But we're constantly working on it and just like talking about how we're parenting. Probably like that's the most thing we talk about now is parenting. How we're parenting, why the kids are behaving this way, what we could do differently. I'm like kind of sick of talking about parenting.
It's okay, but we're gonna have to parent for the next.
We need a break, but yeah. It's such years. It's the most needed thing for us right now. Okay, we're gonna end with this. What's the number one marriage advice that you would give to someone?
Choose to love your partner every day.
That's what I would say. That's good.
I think that's what, and I've had multiple conversations with people about this. And I always say that love is an action, it's not a feeling. And what happens is, I think once you're in a committed long-term relationship, those feelings that were there when you were dating, the butterflies, you can't live in that state of ecstatic love for your partner. It does not. If your biological sense it changes when you've been in a relationship for a long time. And so getting up every morning and choosing to love your partner is the number one that I can say, regardless of how you are feeling or what they said to tick you off or whatever. It's like, you get up every morning and you choose, like, I'm choosing to be with you here and now today. I am here choosing you to love you. Mm-hmm. And sometimes choosing to love another person also looks like you going to therapy, you examining who you are so that you can better love your other person.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what I
would say, look at your marriage as like a person and treat it with that attention. So we are going, like we said earlier, to a marriage intensive at the end of March, and we're actually leaving the day before our son's 8th birthday, and we feel kind of bad about that, but we're gonna make it up to him, and we're gonna like have 2 more parties than he's supposed to have.
The thing is we're choosing to put our marriage,
but we're choosing to actually give that our marriage, like it's a person, that attention. And because it's an awesome opportunity. So that's why I would say you can't just get married and think that it's going to take care of itself. You have to take care of your marriage. And whether that looks like reading a good marriage book together, spending time one-on-one together, that doesn't have to do with bills or, talking about kids, but just really having fun together. And then, that's way more than just one marital advice, but choose each other. Choose each other and choose your marriage and prioritize it. All right. That's good. Good job.
Thanks, babe.
Sure, babe.
Sure, babe.
All right. Thanks for listening. Hopefully this encouraged you guys, and send us more questions and topics you guys want us to talk about.
Yep.
All right.
See ya.
Peace out. Peace out. What? Never say that.
Never. You're still recording.